Hello, welcome to another episode of Coaster Chat. Today we're going to talk about some pretty big news for the UK theme park industry.
Blackpool are finally getting a new coaster and not just moving something terrible from somewhere else.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a Mack multi-launching thing. I don't know what the official term for these things are. You know?
Just multi-launch coaster.
Multi-launch thing.
Yeah.
Like Helix and...
Yeah, so Helix and Bluefire also come under the launch coaster from Mack.
They can do pretty much
versions.
anything.
Yeah. And it's a long coaster. I mean, it does a lot. It interacts with 5 of their coasters.
Which is a big deal for the UK, regardless of anything else. So we don't typically have long rides. The
best thing, though, I think, by far, is that it's not a gimmick.
Yeah.
It's not. It's not being made purely for the reason of, oh, it's got X amount of inversions or whatever.
It's just a roller coaster.
Yeah.
For a roller coaster's sake, there's no crap. It's just a roller coaster.
Yeah. Which is what we've needed for so long.
Yeah. And it'll be interesting to see how well it does, because we're so used to Merlin's attitude of it's got to have a gimmick, it's got to have a unique selling point, it's got to be, the world's first whatever. So it would be so amazing if it turns out to do really well for them, so we can say, look, it doesn't matter.
You
just
can
make a good ride.
Yeah, it doesn't have to have a gimmick. You can just build a solid, entertaining attraction.
And that's the thing. These things have a reputation for being good. Like most people, I don't think I've ever heard a bad word spoken about Helix and Bluefire. Yeah, for the most part, Bluefire gets praise too. I've seen a couple of people be like, "Oh, it's not that great," but
I think that's because you could sort of argue that Bluefire is almost a family coaster.
Oh, is it quite tame?
I wouldn't say it's tame, but it's a good introduction to a more thrilling coaster.
Okay. Whereas Helix is more of a thrill machine.
Yeah, and it's so dominating over the parks on that hillside. It just looks fantastic.
Yeah. So sadly, I haven't done either of them. I've done sort of comparable things by Intamin, but not any of Mack's sort of big coasters. So it's I hope that Mackpool doesn't end up being my first of those, and I can get out and try the others before then. But
got a year.
Yeah, exactly. The thing that really makes me excited is that I really like Blackpool Pleasure Beach anyway, and I always have ever since I first visited, because I think it's so different to the theme parks that I grew up with, and it's so honest.
Okay.
I don't really like the Nickelodeon Land expansion, because to me that's not Blackpool-y. Blackpool should be kind of strings of lights and a bit messy and just honest. It's just there's just rides there, and they're there to be rides. They're not there to pretend to be something they're not. And I'm hoping that this is the same. And I love the interaction between things at Blackpool, the over, under, everything. Big One is a great ride in my opinion. I know most people won't agree with me here. If that ride was anywhere else, it would be terrible. But because it's at Blackpool, and because, going up that lift and seeing like the ocean and the wind it's just always cold, and it's always a bit rainy and nasty, and the wind just batters your face, and that first drop I think is really good, and I like the way that it just meanders pointlessly above things. The turnaround, even, like if you're on the inside seat and the turnaround and you sort of like lean out of the car, it's such a long way down, and there's not a lot of coasters in the world that spend that much time up high just doing nothing. That's what I liked about Tatsu as well.
Oh, okay.
Like it just chills.
Gives you time to sort of look out over the horizon.
It makes you appreciate the height in which it is, whereas most coasters, they use their height to just do a big drop, which is, that's what they're for, I know.
Yeah.
But I quite like that quirkiness of being like so high up. And the other thing, of course, that's good about all Blackpool rides is they just interact with each other. They dip and dive, and you get proper head choppers on their rides. And I'm hoping that this will be similar. We were just watching the POV, and it's of the CGI animated thing, and it's really difficult to work out sort of exactly how it's going to interact with things, because not all of the scenery is built into the model.
Which is just going to make it more interesting once you finally get onto ride.
Yeah, this is what I'm hoping, that it's, regardless of its of how good it is as an actual coaster, like Big One for me, it's going to be made from its situation and the world around it, basically.
Yeah, I think that's, very true. I mean, most rides, if they've got a head chopper or like a tunnel or something, it just adds so much more to the ride.
To the experience, yeah.
So, I mean, with a POV that doesn't show any of that, but it's going to have so much of it.
It makes it weird to even show that video for me, because a lot of people have been criticising this and saying it looks kind of dull, and like it doesn't. It's a lot of turns, and it's a lot of sort of quietness, and it does look a bit slow, actually. But
I mean, part of my reason for slightly thinking that is that I've been on Helix, and there's a bit where it's just a bunch of turns, and I thought with the speed it was going to hit it at, it would be quite forceful in a weird, fun way, like you would find like the Intamin ones. But you don't really get that. It was quite forceless and just sort of there. So I'm kind of concerned that that's going to happen. But maybe with everything else happening around you, and maybe the actual ride experience being faster than it looks on the POV, it'll be better. I hold out hope for that.
Yeah.
But I can't help reserve a little bit of judgment about it.
Yeah, same. And I find it's getting increasingly hard to tell with... I mean, it's always been the case that you never know for certain until you ride something.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Of course that's true. But like, usually you can get a feel, the more you ride, and especially if you've been on similar things, you just get a feel for like knowing that that's not going to be that great, or that looks amazing.
Yeah.
You can't be certain, but you get that sort of gist of it.
Yeah, you kind of get the idea of where the forces are going to be and what's going to be highlights.
But I don't know about you, but I feel like recently, with more of these coasters that are a bit twisty-turny, like Taron, even Helix when that was being built, and Mackpool, is that it's very difficult to tell, and there is a split in the community usually quite dramatically, whereas usually it's sort of like the majority is saying, oh, this looks crap, or this looks really good, that turn looks amazing, whereas like I remember people talking about Taron and saying, oh, it's just a well-themed family coaster, and that the theming looks amazing, but it's going to be let down by the ride experience. And now that it's open and people have been on it,
it's a total opposite.
Yeah,
it's a wild beast of a thing.
Yeah, it's strange, but we'll see. I personally think even if it's a pile of crap, from a critical coaster perspective, it is still remarkable that A, Blackpool have finally got a new thing. B, we've got such a major big new ride in the UK, and C, like you said, that it's not a gimmick, it's just a roller coaster. It's
just a solid ride.
And I think, and Blackpool really kind of needed, in my opinion, another coaster that A, wasn't wood, and B, it needed to have an inversion. It
needed something slightly modern to
to compete with.
Yeah, level it out a little bit.
Yeah, and I'm actually surprised it doesn't have more inversions.
Yeah, it's weird. It only has, 3? 2 or 3?
But they're not like... I don't know.
They're not going to be seen as like the standout moments.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised it doesn't have a loop, because Blackpool only has Revolution. I kind of it's to me that's kind of strange. I kind of was expecting if they ever did this, but can you imagine how good a loop would have been, like around something else as well?
That'd be cool.
Probably just don't have the space. That's the problem with Blackpool is it's not. That's the thing. That's going to be amazing though, is that there's just not any space at Blackpool. So this
just being shoved in amongst everything else is going to be pretty insane.
Because I typically like parks. I really like Hershey Park as well. I actually think Hershey Park has a lot of similarities with Blackpool.
Yeah.
In terms of it is a cluster. It is just more strings of lights than it is about making a false experience, like with theming and stuff. It is an amusement park, and it doesn't care, and I like that about Blackpool a lot. It's sort of like a dying breed, and for a minute I was a bit worried when they built Nickelodeon land.
Everything would then become just.
And they were heading that way, yeah. Because I mean, it's even like Valhalla. Like you could say, "Oh, Valhalla's there. It's like one of the best dark rides in the UK." But like, actually look at it, because it's almost as if it's standing out like a sore thumbness is part of its charm. When you look at it, it looks no different to how the Ghost Train looks. Like it is just. It's not a themed thing as part of a world. It is just. I don't know. It's still very much an amusement ride, and that sort of is funny to me. I like Blackpool. I think this ride looks cool. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, agree.
Do have reservations, but the hype is real.
Yeah, and there's going to be a whole year of it, and
it's
going to be interesting to wait it out. But it's also weird to find out about something so far in advance.
Yeah, it's
especially in the UK.
Yeah.
Like we usually find out about it 6 months before.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that this sort of braveness from Blackpool to not only build something that's not gimmicky and that is just a roller coaster, but also to announce it this early and do it the very American way of going like, here is some graphics, as opposed to like, here is a big marketing surfacing whatever, which is what is typically done.
Yeah,
will prove
it was very much let's just throw everything out on the table and just show you.
Yeah, and I'm really hoping it will prove to be the right decision and that it will be good for them.
Yeah, I hope so. Thanks for watching today's episode. Tell us what you think. Are you excited about this new coaster coming to Blackpool?
Yeah. Have you been on one of the similar rides? Are you one of the only people that I've never seen that dislike Helix? I'd love to hear what your reasoning is. I'd love to hear what people think about this. Do people, is the sort of like slowness and lacking layout of it making people go, "Ugh," or are people just happy that this is a new ride for Blackpool, or do you think it just looks amazing? Yeah, let us know. Let us know in the comments.
Let us know down below.
Hopefully in a few years, a couple of years, there'll be a video of us talking about how awesome it is. We can hope.
We can only hope.
Thanks for watching.
Bye.